In this video, I'm going to cover DJI's return to home system, demonstrate the 3 return to home modes, and cover the settings that are best in the DJI Fly app for the area with which you are flying to hopefully keep you out of trouble and prevent you losing your drone. So let's get into it. So what is return to home then? Well, think of return to home as DJI's built-in safety net designed to get you out of sticky situations or indeed alleviate drone anxiety, which of course is the fear of losing your drone, by giving you the confidence that should something go a little bit wrong, this drone can make its way all the way back to the home point, which of course I'm going to demonstrate later on in this video. So before we get into the return to home modes, let me just demonstrate what settings you need to be checking in the DJI Fly app to give your drone the best chance as possible to get itself all the way back to the home point. So we're going to hit these 3 dots in the top right corner, and as you can see on the screen we have got our return to home settings. Now if your DJI drone has got obstacle avoidance sensors, you will see the option for the optimal return to home as well as presets. If it doesn't have any obstacle avoidance sensors, you will see preset only. Now what will happen is if you are flying in an area and your return to home is set as preset, you can see we've got a slider right here, which is the auto return to home altitude. So we can slide that all the way down to 20 meters, all the way up to 120, which of course is designated by our maximum altitude right here. Now the idea behind preset return to home is if you find yourself in a situation where return to home kicks in, what the drone will do is if it's already flying lower than that preset altitude, it will rise to say 70 meters for example, or indeed if you are already above it, it will stay higher than that. And then what it will do is the drone, once rising to that 70 meters, will head its way all the way back to the home point at that altitude. Now where things are really a little bit different is under optimal return to home. Under this mode, the drone will not rise to any particular preset return to home altitude, instead using its own built-in navigation and its obstacle avoidance sensors to navigate its own path all the way back to the home point. Now I prefer to use the preset option, ensuring that my auto return to home altitude is set higher than the tallest object in the vicinity with which your drone is flying, ensuring that it's not going to crash anything on its way back to the home point. Now one question you may have is when the DJI drone takes off, how does it know where to come back to? Well, that's simple. Let me demonstrate that now. If I hit this button right here and then take off, as you can see there, we got that notification to say the home point had been updated. Essentially what that means is when the drone actually took off, it logged the point with which it took off's coordinates, basically meaning that it can fly all the way back to that point. So what I'm going to do now is just demonstrate the return to home feature number 1, which of course is smart return to home. Now under a smart return to home situation, this is completely user activated. So essentially what will happen is if you do fly your drone out over this sort of rural area and you do happen for whatever reason to lose visual line of sight, at the simple press of a button, you can actually make the drone come all the way back to you of its own accord. Now there are 2 ways to activate this. One would be using the indicator on our DJI Fly app, or the other one would be using the button on the controller with which you are using. However, of course, if you are using the DJI Fly app and you hit that button here, you can see we've got a couple of options. We have got the option to land exactly where it is, or the option to return to home. And a newly added feature that we have within the DJI Fly app is the ability to update the home point. Now if we just click that, you can see we can select that as the aircraft, exactly where it is, or of course the controller, which is where I'm stood, or we can tap our screen and move the home point pretty much anywhere we want. So say for example I set the home point over here and then I clicked OK.
Home point updated.
As you can see there, it has now updated our home point on this screen. So if I then hit return to home, it would go all the way back over there. But of course I don't want that. What I want to do is for the drone to come all the way back to me. So what I'm going to do now is just hit update home point, set that as the controller because I'm still stood right in front of it, and I'm going to go ahead and hit
home point
OK.
updated.
There again, it's updated the home point back to the controller. So let's go ahead and hit that return to home.
Return
And what
to
you're going to
home.
see is, of course, because I'm flying at 54 meters altitude and we set our preset return to home at 70 meters, it's going to rise to that 70 meters and head all the way back to the home point. And as you can see there, it is doing that now, and it will do so at a set speed set within the limitations of your DJI drones. Essentially, it doesn't matter whether you're in Cine Smooth or Sport or normal mode, it will return to home at a predetermined speed, as it is doing now around 9.2 meters per second. So as you can see there, the drone has now pretty much come back to the home point. There we go, we're just getting over us right now. And then what it's going to do is it's going to start descending.
Landing.
And as you can see there, the little arrow above my head basically means that it's possibly going to miss me a little bit, as of course it took off in front of me. Now in these situations, it's always good, if you do have your drone back in your control, to just hit that cancel return to home landing, and then of course land it manually, which I just think is a better option. Okay, so let me just fly there and come back down. You can see there we go. Okay, so that is smart return to home. So what I'm going to do now is just go flying back off as fast as possible. Okay, that's only 20 meters, and then get a couple of 100 meters out if I can. And then what I'm going to do is just switch that setting back to optimal, because this drone does have front obstacle avoidance sensors, just so you can see the difference in behavior. So there's 3 dots in the top right corner, switch it to optimal, and now what we're going to do is just hit that return to home all over again.
Return to home.
And as you can see there, because it's using its obstacle avoidance sensors and we are now set in optimal rather than preset, it's not actually going to raise to that 70 meters, because what it's doing is now sensing for any obstacles in front of it, and as there aren't any, it knows that it can return all the way back to me at that specific altitude. So just to demonstrate how those different modes work, so what I'm going to do now is just demonstrate a fail-safe return to home. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is again just cancel that. I'm going to just switch over to my camera so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So to demonstrate fail-safe return to home, what essentially that means is if you lose any sort of connection between the controller and the drone, after 11 seconds the drone can actually determine that it no longer has a connection, and it can make its way all the way back to the home point. So what I'm going to do now is quite simply turn off my controller, which of course is going to simulate a complete loss of signal. So let's just tap it once and tap it again. There you go. So as you can see on our DJI Fly app, our device is not connected to our mobile device. We've got no connection whatsoever. I've got eyes on the drone just over in the sky over there. And there we go. After a few seconds, I can see the drone, which has now started heading all the way back to me. There you go. So what I'm going to do now is just turn this back on, re-establish the connection.
Return to home.
There you go. And it's shown we are in return to home mode. And of course the drone has headed all the way back to the home point, exactly as it should. So even in the eventuality of losing
Landing.
your signal on your controller, the drone can get itself all the way back. Now, a nice feature that DJI have added in the DJI Fly app is the ability to see the exact path the drone is planning to take on its route back to the home point during a return to home situation. All we need to do is hit the 3 dots in the top right corner, scroll all the way down to AR settings, and as you can see, we can toggle on show AR return to home route. When enabled and aircraft is in auto return to home, live AR route will be displayed in the camera view. So what we're going to do now is just toggle that on, and then what we'll do is we'll just fly out, again just gaining a little bit of distance from ourselves, because of course, if you don't know already, if the drone is within 25 meters of the home point, at no point will the return to home kick in. You need to be greater than that for the return to home to work. So as you can see, we've just popped out around 225 meters, and what I'm going to do for the purpose of this is just switch our return to home back to preset, and we'll just adjust it to say 80 meters for example. So what we're going to do once again on our DJI DJI Fly app, we're going to hit that return to home icon and then press and hold return to home.
Return to home.
Now you can see this green route indicator, and as you can see, it's now going to take us all the way up, which is just a really cool view that DJI have. Now DJI do turn this on in the DJI Fly app as standard if you have a drone with obstacle avoidance. Okay, I do personally prefer to have it turned off, but ultimately, you know, that's just personal preference. But as you can see, it is following this green path all the way back to the home point. And as you can see, when it gets to the end of this little straight, it's going to take a downward turn all the way back to us. And you can see that represented on the screen. Sorry for the beeping, but there's no way of getting rid of that noise. But you're going to have to just grin and bear it, unfortunately, to demonstrate this feature. So there we go, we're getting to above. There we go, just right directly overhead. And as you can see there, the drone is now following this path all the way back down to us. So again, just a nice little tool if you wasn't aware of it already, or basically what that tool actually indicates in virtual reality. I think it's quite cool. Generally have it turned off, but I see the appeal for most people. Now, the final return to home mode that DJI drones come with is something called low battery return to home. So essentially, if you are flying around and the drone determines that you are flying a little bit too far for the battery life that you have got remaining, then do not worry, again, it has you covered. So what I'm going to do is just fly around a little bit, essentially just to kill my battery until that kicks in, and within a few seconds hopefully you will see that pop up. This is of course indicated in the battery remaining in the top corner, as you can see there.
Battery level is low. Aircraft will return to the home point in 10 seconds. Return to home.
Auto return to home will start. So there you go, as you can see there, the drone has determined I'm a little bit too far from the home point, and it's going to get you all the way back to the home point using the battery life which is remaining. Now this is absolutely fantastic as a safety net. You can of course cancel that, but please do so with extreme caution, because this is where you really run into the risk of losing your drone and your drone not being able to make it back all the way to the home point. Okay, so now we've demonstrated that one, let's just cancel that for one little feature I'm not sure you are aware of, but I'm going to demonstrate it anyway. So yes, I'm taking a bit of a risk. What I'm going to do is just fly out. Okay, we're at 80 meters altitude. So what I'm going to do is just get a couple of 100 meters.
Low battery. Return to home promptly.
As you can see, we're getting that prompt. So what we're going to do is just hit that return to home. Okay. Now what a lot of people do not realise is whilst the DJI drone will return to home at a preset speed, okay, even though it's battling the wind, as you can see it's doing it about 8 meters per second, if I push forward on the stick, we can actually accelerate that to the drone's maximum speed in this flight mode. If I lift off, it's going to slow back down, okay, to 8.1 meters. If I push again, as you can see, it is speeding back up. So now I've demonstrated the return to home modes, fail-safe, low battery and smart return to home. I'm going to show you something that some of DJI drones can do, which you're going to find incredibly impressive. So let me demonstrate exactly what that is. So it may not have escaped your attention that I essentially took off from just there, but the drone wanted to land there, basically missing the return to home point, which of course is not ideal, okay? But what I'm going to show you is some of DJI's drones have got a built-in feature called precision return to home. So what I'm going to do now is just demonstrate exactly what precision return to home looks like and how it can make an absolutely huge difference. So for the purpose of this test, I've put the drone in, which I think you would agree is pretty much in the center of this landing pad. So what I'm going to do is just take off and not allow precision return to home to activate, and then come back and demonstrate precision return to home and how good it is. So what I'm going to do is just take off.
Take off. Home
and I'm going
point
to head
updated.
straight out, okay? Just get some distance. So we go 150 meters out, give or take. Let's just hit that return to home. Now, of course, we've got a great comparison here in the shape, of course, of the landing pad, okay? So right now, as you can see, the drone is heading all the way back to me, returning all the way up to that preset return to home altitude. Then once it gets above us, as it is doing right now, battling the wind, the drone is now going to, as we're nearly overhead, here we go, 30 meters, 25 meters. Hopefully you find this, quite cool to watch.
Landing.
The drone is now going to come all the way down. Okay, you can see all my equipment on this bench next to me. The drone is coming all the way down, and it's going to, by the looks of it, miss the landing pad by a little way. Okay, so as you can see, the landing pad's there. You can see our crosshairs on the middle of the screen. Fair enough, the DJI drone has got us all the way back to the home point, where we can of course cancel that return to home landing, but ultimately it is going to miss. Okay, and it's going to end up just slightly short of the landing pad and in the grass. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just demonstrate the precision return to home and exactly how that works. So let's get the DJI drone back on the landing pad and let's take off and show the difference. So just like last time, the Mini 4 Pro is back in the exact center of this landing pad, only this time I'm going to demonstrate the DJI Mini 4 Pro's precision return to home. Now of course, some drones have this, some drones haven't. If yours has it and you don't know that your drone can actually do this, you're going to be quite astounded. So what I'm going to do now is just hit that takeoff on the DJI Fly app. But this time, what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way up rather than out and just hover it. Now technically it has to be hovered over 7 meters. It doesn't matter if we are sort of 12 meters or so. And what this essentially does is it maps the area, okay? So what I'm going to do now is, after I've hovered that for a few seconds, again, I'm going to just take off and clear off, gain some altitude, okay? Just head out here a little bit just to give it a bit more of a difficult task. 200 meters should do it also. Nearly there, there we go. So now what I'm going to do, nothing's changed in the DJI Fly app, no settings changed, still on preset, okay? We're gonna hit that return to home. So now let's watch the difference of this DJI Mini 4 Pro. Now we have just hovered for that few seconds above 7 meters. So there we go, it's going to head all the way back up to that 80 meters with which we set in the DJI Fly app. And just to show, there you go, auto return to home altitude is still 80 meters. We're still on preset. It's coming all the way back to me. There you go, just about overhead. And now you will see a difference. Also, I hope, otherwise I'm going to look a little bit silly.
Landing.
So there we go, now it's coming down, it's coming down. Only this time, it should start to make some adjustments. And it's looking for the landing pad. Okay, let's just move out the way to make sure there's no obstacles. I'd say that was close enough for a return to home test. So that can be a huge difference between potentially landing in the bushes and of course landing in the center of a landing pad. So just to show this is no fluke, we're going to do it all over again. So let's go ahead and hit that takeoff. Let's go up to say 7 meters. And just hover there for a few seconds. There we go. And now again, we'll head out, but what we'll do is we'll head in the complete opposite direction. There we go, completely away from me. Let's get some more altitude, just to make this test a little bit tougher. Now, just to demonstrate something I mentioned earlier, of course, we're flying at 90 meters, 95 meters, 96 even. So what I'm going to do now is hit return to home. We are now coming all the way down. It's above my head. Let's get the landing pad back on view. There you go, 60 meters, 50, 40, 30. It's coming down. It's coming down. As you can see there, again, it's off the landing pad, but it's searching for it. There we go, it's adjusted its position. You think this DJI drone we've just flown a couple of 100 meters away at 96 meters and it has landed within, what, 2 inches of where it took off? That is an absolutely incredible piece of technology. So how cool is all of that? In this video, which has been a little bit longer than normal, you have seen demonstrated the 3 return to home modes. You know what the settings are in the DJI Fly app. You know that if your drone has obstacle avoidance, you can switch on that optimal return to home, or you know to set your return to home altitude taller than the nearest tallest building or object and use that preset return to home. I have shown you the AR return to home route, and of course we have demonstrated that precision return to home. Basically everything you need to know about return to home, and hopefully by knowing all of this you have got the confidence that this DJI drone can keep you completely out of trouble, or indeed if you do have drone anxiety and you have that fear that once you put that drone up in the air it's gonna take off. That is simply not the case, and all the excellent technology built in to this DJI drone has ultimately got you covered. Now of course return to home modes are built into all DJI's drones, and of course you can have a play about with it yourself to check what works best for you. But just basically, the point of this video is for you to be safe in the knowledge that unless you do something incredibly special, it's pretty much unlikely you're ever going to lose your hard-earned investment. So if you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. It tells YouTube algorithm more people just like you might want to watch me waffle on my channel. Subscribe if you're awesome, and until next time, see you again soon.